Shalom, shalom. This is Kapaya, aka Pops out of GMS Chicago, with another sit down. Before I get started, though, like always, I want to send all praises, honor, and glory out to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakodash. To the apostles and elders of GMS out of New York, I want to send double honors because they do rule well. For the brethren around the world, pushing this truth uncut, unfiltered, giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly, the scriptures, correctly breaking down the prophecies in interaction with the people on planet, breaking down the prophecies correctly and the interaction with the people on the planet, declaring warning. I send salutations for the hopeful elect. I hope this is edifying. For the aqua, pure and true, that's listening sincerity and charity, keep doing so. But for the scorn and scoff of reprobate 2/3 Israelites and 17 other nations that's in the midst of Jacob's trouble is going to get a whole lot worse. And this Leo Terrell, Coon, as fucking civil rights lawyer or whatever the fuck he think he is part of the problem, and part of the 2/3 is going to get torched in the process. Okay, so I'm gonna let John here, you know, push or say what he's going to say. I'm gonna let him go on and say what he's going to say, and then I'm gonna let this coon show his true colors, and then I'm gonna put some scriptures on it. Okay, in the midst of it, here we go.
Well, the good news is you might not be a racist. You might just. Yeah, you've been out of shape about critical race theory. Well, the good news is you might not be a racist. You might just be ignorant of what the hell CRT is. Basically, it's a bunch of legal scholarship and academic thinky talk that just tries to figure out what systems are in place that over minorities in the U.S. in subtle ways, rather than the by full-on in-your-face racism. No one is teaching this stuff to your young kids, so calm the down.
The profanity-laced rant.
Okay, now, first of all, let's deal with the critical race theory part in itself. Okay, systematic racism is a fairly common word. Okay, it's a fairly common word used by scholars and whatnot. Everybody kind of knows what it is, but everybody wants to acknowledge the elephant that's in the room. Okay, because draconian law and all these other kinds of things, the court systems, the Latin terms and things like this that lawyers have to learn, and all this other kind of stuff is all part of that system. So, before this guy got rich, before the actor got rich, and all these other kinds of things, what was he? What the world would see as a Latino. Okay, Northern Kingdom. So I'm pretty sure in his upbringing, raising, whatever combination of things that there might be, he done seen some form of racism on some level, somehow. Whether or not it's been through in his acting career, now that he's able to go into certain places and whatnot, if he go into certain places unbeknownst to the people that's coming in as a Latino, he, and able to go into richy things of this nature, and they don't know who he is. He's a Latino, so why the hell are you in here? And these types of things. At some point in time or another, he's probably experienced it. Why? Because as the scripture says, Deuteronomy 28:68 says, Even though the Northern King don't even like to acknowledge this, it happened to him. Okay, it happened to him. So these will all be signs, and this one here, his people went through it too. 150 years before the so-called Negro was brought over here to the Americas from Central and West Africa. Okay, they was going through it with the conquistadors, the Cristobal Colons, and all these other people, you know, and these kinds of things. And then with the yeah, yeah. What do you think the what was that? The Spanish American Revolution was, and all these other things. Okay, the Trail of Tears, and all these things. What do y'all think these things were? These were atrocities performed on what they wanted to call the natives, which was basically the Northern Kingdom that was already over here in South and Central America. Okay. Period. Can't get around it. Okay. But now we're gonna go back up here. Let's scroll up some. Okay. These are all the things that get past this. But so he's been exposed to this because of who he is. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So there's been some curses on some level that has overtaken, because if not, then that would make the word of the Lord void. And he said it's not going to come back void. So since he said that these curses will overtake you, it means you're going to have been exposed to them. Now, whether or not you're smart enough or dumb enough, or smart enough or to understand it, or dumb and naive and didn't catch it, okay, don't know. But he obviously sounds like he caught it because of the rant that he just gave and the profanity that was used in the process. He doesn't have $1 million education with $1 million vocabulary. So in frustration, you get the curse words. You get the street vernacular. Okay, and part of the street vernacular is that it's laced with obscene words. Why? Because that's how he expressed himself. Okay? Period. So, now I'm going to go back and let this guy say what he's going to say.
Rant posted by actor John Leguizamo railing against those concerned about critical race theory in their kids' schools.
Fox News contributor Leo Terrell is a former history and social studies teacher, and he joins us now to react. You're the perfect guest for this. He says it's not being taught to our kids. What do you say?
Why is he a perfect guest for this? Says the Edomite woman. Why? Because he's a fucking old coon. Look at him. He comes on with a motherfucking dick around his neck. If y'all understand what an obelisk is, that's what that tie represents. Okay? One, and he's entirely booty faced. He's got no hair on his face, even though he's got gray at his temples, and he more than likely can grow a beard. But he's coming on TV, so he wants to be totally booty faced. Okay? Period. So he's not observing the law, statutes, and commandments himself. Okay? Because he's definitely not dealing with Leviticus, what's that, 19 and 17? Let me pull that up real quick. Let me show you what he's not dealing with before he gets to going in on shit. Leviticus. Not 17:27, my mistake. Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shall ye mar the corners of thy beard. So that lining that he's got, he done, you shall not round the corners of your head. So he done changed that by lining it up like he's got it. And he shall not mar the corners of thy beard. And he done changed that by not even having a beard. Period. So right off top, they parade in front of you someone that doesn't even understand these laws as it stand. But then he's a lawyer too. So let me go and let him say what he gonna say and shoot himself.
You say.
I say he's absolutely wrong. Why should we listen to an actor? Is he qualified? Is he a former professor? Is he a lawyer? Why should 340 million Americans, parents, teachers, students, listen to him? He's not qualified to give an opinion.
He's not qualified. They both booty-faced. So, like I said, it is, but he's just, John is speaking from the point of what he's seen. This guy here isn't even speaking from the point of what he's seen and dealt. John is speaking from the point of the racist police and things of this nature that he's been exposed to. Now, he's in Hollywood, so he's willing to play the game. But every now and then, they go say something and want to do something stupid, like try to deny the history that's Esau, Edom's, what's the word I'm looking for? Esau's, Edom's, was his badge of honor, now it's his badge of shame, of the ruthless, bloodless, of the ruthless, bloodful legacy that is his, granted to him by Yahweh Shai in the lifetime of Isaac, that he would live by the sword. So if you got a sword, you bringing blood to the table, and that's been his biggest blessing. So he used it and conquered the world, got over 800 garrisons all over the world, okay, and got his footprint in everybody's fucking shit, period. So is John qualified? Nah, he don't know the scriptures. But can he express the rage of what he's been through? Sure, he knows that. This guy isn't even dealing with that. He's getting ready to sell totally out and support. And that's why this Edomite bitch was in such a fucking uproar to say he's the perfect person for it. To break this down, because he supposedly got the credentials to justify all the bullshit that he's getting ready to shovel. But that's only to the world. To the elect, it's all bullshit, and it's for naught.
On critical race theory. He's not qualified to talk about whether or not it's taught. And he's more than not qualified to claim that it's just a legal theory. It's a base of conclusions without supporting fact.
Hold on, see? Critical race theory is is conclusions not based on facts. It's history. It's this Edomite's history. How is that not based on concluded facts of history when the Bible already spelled it out that it was going to happen? Ezekiel 35:5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword. Esau's blessing was the sword, so by the force of the sword he shed the blood of Israel, of Jacob, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So at a time that the so-called slavery was ended here in America, the bloodshed and the sword of Esau was still continuing on. Therefore, as I live, says Lord Power, Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir a stronghold of Esau's, most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out and him that returneth. Okay? So, my question then is, since the Lord set it up, and he sees it,
Is
but this guy has got his, look at that, the blind leading the blind. Perfect. Look at that. Got his eyes closed. Got his eyes closed. Okay, I know you're gonna say, well, he's just blinking. But that's perfect. This is why the Spirit had it happen like this. I hit the pause to say something, and look at, he's sitting here, like I said, booty faced, dick around his neck, and got his eyes closed. How symbolic is that? The blind shall lead the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, they both shall fall into a ditch. Because John don't have the answers as to what's going on. He just knows the rage that he feels when racism is presented to him. This guy is trying to pacify the racism that he deals with and whatnot. Okay, let's go.
leadership, or let me rephrase, his acting platform does not qualify him to tell parents and teachers and students that critical race theory does not exist.
Leo, the problem for a lot of parents who were looking over their kids' shoulders during the pandemic, seeing what they were being taught, is they feel that they're not getting the same kind of education they got. It's more of an...
It's more of a what?
Indoctrination, because
an indoctrination? Perpetual blood is not an indoctrination. It's a history. You've already done it. How am I indoctrinating you to something that you've already done? Because of the shame? You don't want to deal with the shame? Okay, so old boy trying to justify this Edomite and trying to say that, he doesn't have the credentials that John doesn't have the credentials, and he don't because he don't know these scriptures. But like I said, he's basically signing crime because of the fact you're trying to push the racism card now that you done had all this time up under the table. You don't want nobody to see it. But like I said, at one point in time, it was your glory. So let's go and read this. This is Psalms 89. I'm going to start at 44. Thou hast made his glory to cease and cast his throne down to the ground. That's what you see happening now. See Esau's throne and his way of life and how he did things and all this other kind of stuff. And the treachery and the bloodshed that it took for him to put it in place is all being brought out now. Okay, so in the ruthlessness that it took, the debauchery that it was, and the lasciviousness of it, and the bloodshed that was in the midst of it, is all brought shame to him now. Okay, the days of his youth thou hast shortened, thou hast covered him with shame. Okay. So he's covered in shame now. So he doesn't want to face it, because he doesn't want to face that, because this is also part of it. 14 and 12. No, actually 14 and 21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities, because they know that if they done that much wickedness, there's got to be a recompense that's coming. And it is. And it's going to be double. And they don't want to face that. They don't want to deal with that blood ticket that they got to cash in with their own blood. So that's why they saying, no, we don't want this taught and whatnot. We don't want our kids having to walk around with that shame and that stigma that the founding fathers and whatnot put on us in their bloodlust to achieve the wealth that this country has had, but now it's passing. Okay? So let's go back to this now.
Whole different way of looking at things. Explain your problem with it.
I'll tell you exactly what my problem is. Not only as a former school teacher, but as a lawyer, a civil rights lawyer, a person who deals with the issue of racism.
He deals with the issue of racism, but there's nothing from an outwardly appearance that says that he even understands this law. A civil rights lawyer. You deal with racism, but what? You don't. Backlash grows over race-based school curriculum.
Critical race theory is not a program, a discipline, a principle grounded in facts. It only tells you.
How is critical race theory not grounded in facts when basically it's telling about systemic racism, and that's the history of America?
A conclusion. It tells you that white people are privileged, black people are oppressed. It doesn't tell you the why, the how, and everything else. It takes a part of history when we first became a nation and then apply it to everyday life.
Oh, it's a history that is applied to everyday life, and the laws are set up. Whoa, okay, let's go here then. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go here. Woe to the rebellious children, says Yahweh, that take counsel but not of me, and that cover with the covering but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down to Egypt, and have not asked in my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Egypt also was known for its laws, right? Okay? Egypt known for its laws. America's known for its laws. They keep changing their laws. He's a lawyer. So he's in the midst of it. And to be in the midst of it, you got to be a part of the system. You can't be outside the system. You got to be inside the system. So he's inside the system. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame. That word shame again. So now the Edomite don't want to face his shame, and he's not going to want to face his shame when Yahweh Shah comes back, because he's going to be classified as a 2/3 and destroyed. Off rip. Okay? Let's go to 31. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, and horsemen because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil, and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. So you helping this man work iniquity by co-signing his bullshit. You are helping this man's iniquity by trying to co-sign his bullshit.
It ignores the progress in this country. So there's no fact.
It ignores the progress. See? Motherfuckers still getting gunned down in the city. Period. Niggas are still getting gunned down by the police in the city. Motherfuckers just got choked out in the city. So what is this motherfucker talking about?
And I challenge John, the Ice Age cartoon character, to debate me and tell me what facts he has. Steve?
Yeah, Leo, I think that's the point right there, is the conclusion.
And now they done rolled out. They got 2 Edomites now. They done rolled out 2 motherfucking dick wearing niggas around their neck to prop up they bullshit. Let me hear what he got to say. I didn't hear all this whole thing. So let me hear what this coon got to say.
That a lot of people have, because the stories that they tell are real, but it's a conclusion that becomes very problematic. So what should be the response to critical race theory?
I'll tell you what the response should be. The response should be just what parents are doing throughout the country. They challenge the school boards and say, we do not want this. And this is where I really believe is important. We just can't let this be implemented in schools. We have to challenge the legitimacy of it, the credibility of it. And so if the facts don't justify the implementation of this, it cannot be taught to our kids. Our kids are at this early age of their life where they absorb this information and they'll challenge the system, which is wrong if it's not grounded.
So it's wrong to challenge the system, because if you learn about this critical race history, then you'll go up and challenge the system, and in challenging the system, these people lose their positions. Enough said. He will always, Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai will always make this happen. In the end, he exposed himself for what it is. And this is this. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Even the 2/3. See, why would you want to back or listen to a motherfucker that in the end says if you teach this, that's going to make these kids then turn around and challenge the system. The system needed to be challenged. But you ain't got to worry about that now.
In fact, as a
coon of a coon, you ain't got to worry about it, because Yahweh Shai is going to come and do away with the system and put the system of the kingdom of heaven here on earth and whatnot, and you'll be destroyed ugly and come back into the kingdom with your right mind and not be propagating this bullshit for this Edomite and supporting his shit.
school teacher, this is the learning age where kids are indoctrinated, and they should be taught, not used by propaganda.
Which you just finished spewing. So with that, I hope this is edifying to see that, like I said, they go roll out their coons, okay, and try to put this critical race theory thing in a nice little box that they can then take and hide away and whatnot, and let this Edomite go back to being on top. This is what they trying to do. Okay, well, the Edomite is still on top, and he's not going to be pulled down till Yahweh Shai shows up. So with that, that's what we're waiting on at the election's sake, the hope for election's sake. We're waiting on that. So with that, I hope that's edifying. I want to send all praises, honor, and glory out to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakodash, to the apostles and elders of GMS out of New York. I want to send double honors because they do rule well. To the brethren around the world, pushing this truth uncut, unfiltered, giving you the good, the bad, and ugly of the scriptures, correctly breaking down the prophecies and interaction with people and planet, declaring warning. I send salutations for the hopeful elect. I hope that's edifying. For the Aqua, the fear and the truth that's listening, so say it and chair to keep doing so. But for the scorn and scoff, reprobate 2/3 Israelites and 17 other nations that's in the midst of this Jacob's trouble and want to stay hooked to this system like this coon does, Okay, and you 17 other nations, you're in the midst of Jacob's trouble. It's going to get a whole lot worse. So with that first group, I send a hearty shalom, and with this second group, I send a barber ball.